What's going on YouTube? It's Teach back again with another video, and today we're talking running backs in the 2023 NFL draft class. We get closer and closer to April. Slowly but surely we'll get there, but we're in the early stages, and hopefully you all enjoy today's early preview of the running back class. If you do, be sure to hit that like button and help me out a ton. If you're new around here, want to see more draft and football content in general, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. And this is just the beginning of a conversation. Let's talk about this draft class and this running back class specific. Down below in the comments section, maybe who are some sleeper picks. This is a really loaded class, so who are some guys I left off the list that you like, and maybe give me your 1 through 5. I'd love to have your thoughts. I responded to just about every comment, so let's talk some football down below. And again, to reiterate, this is a really, really good looking running back class, at least as it stands right now. There's plenty of guys I didn't have on this list that I could see being in other people's top 5. So it's very subjective, and this will be an interesting class, and the argument of running back value, right? Like, even look at last year's draft class with Kyle Hamilton as a safety, Tyler Linderbaum as a center. Plenty of draft analysts and just fans of the NFL in general had them as, maybe top 10 players in last year's draft class. I knew people who had Kyle Hamilton as their number 1 player on their big board. But did he go number 1 overall? No, he didn't, because the position argument and the value of a safety and the value of a center has to come into the question and come into the equation for you as your NFL team. So how does this running back draft class change that, maybe that perception for this running back position, right? Like Bijan Robinson, who we'll talk about as my number 1 running back, is a stud and has a full, well-rounded skill set and could make an impact right away, but he's running back. So when in the first round can you take him? Because it feels like he's a lock for the first round at this point, but where in the first round does he go? So it's going to be fascinating to watch this class kind of develop and maybe change the argument of running back value. So we'll see early on. Not saying that's going to happen, but this is a really, really talented class. Let's go ahead and kick things off with my number 5, Zach Evans, TCU, former Horned Frog, now transferred over to Ole Miss. He had a interesting recruiting process. You can read about that, but he was the first 5-star to ever go to TCU. And even, you don't have to look hard to find the talent that Zach Evans brings to the field. I've heard the argument and the critique that, yeah, you see the talent, but you want more production. You want to see a little bit more to go with it. And I understand that, but I think sometimes it can be tough for these big-time recruits. And, TCU's a great program. They've had lots of success, but there's a difference between TCU and Ole Miss. So I'm thinking going into this year, you're probably not going to hear that as much. I think you'll be able to see that talent, kind of translate a little bit more playing with the Rebels. And it's also interesting, one of the other critiques that people have on Zach Evans' game is, what he does on, third downs, if we want to call it that. But pass protection as a pass catcher. That's going to change. Ole Miss is going to sling it. And on third downs, can Zach Evans be somebody you leave out on the field, both as a pass protector, but as a pass catcher as well? So some of that could really change. And this could be a guy where, the talent's truly realized, an explosive offense. He's taken strides to be someone you can leave on the field on third down. And this guy skyrockets all the way up into that maybe number 2 spot, maybe even surpassing Bijan Robinson. Who knows? 5-star recruit, the talent is there. You don't have to look hard to find it. Now it just needs to kind of amount more in the production columns and fine-tune a few little aspects of his game, and this guy is going to be a special player. And then Tank Bixby from Auburn. He's a guy who, man, if he could have declared right after his freshman year at Auburn, there was so much hype around Tank Bixby that honestly might have been able to work himself into the first round or the second round conversation even after his freshman year. But obviously you can't do that in college football. But Tank as a first name, kind of apt descriptor. He may not be the fastest guy in this draft class. He's certainly not the fastest guy. We'll probably talk about the guy who is in our honorable mentions, but doesn't get caught from behind all that often. He's a very physical runner, very patient, and has a unique ability to be a dynamic one-cut guy. And at that size, that's a really special combination. So big fan of Tank Bixby. It'll be interesting to see what that Auburn offense looks like, but he is the headline talent there. So hopefully some big numbers coming through this year. And then Sean Tucker, kind of a similar argument here. Sean Tucker is, I'm not calling him Jonathan Taylor, but this guy who looks like a running back, has the ideal size, just under 6 foot, right around 200 pounds, looks like an NFL running back. But just like Tank Bixby, despite big size and, Tank Bixby, his first name, kind of an apt description, blah, 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 both these guys have speed. Sean Tucker, I think, a little bit more than Tank Bixby, but Sean Tucker is sneaky quick, and he's got some long speed that will catch up on some safeties and corners. You'll see the angles aren't quite there, but to me, this guy, it can be a full impact guy, kind of similar to Zach Evans. I want to see a little bit more of that third down pass catching production to follow suit, but this is a Syracuse program that's not necessarily all the best, so sometimes that offense, it feels like he has to do a lot of the heavy lifting. But that being said, he's a huge part of that offense, and he's been so much fun to watch. And again, full skill set, power, patience, the ability to change on a dime when it comes to his directional skills, and good long speed. Has the skill set to become a complete running back. And again, I've said that about 3 guys that are 3 through 5. That's how good this running back class is. And then Jumeir Gibbs is my number 2 guy, and I am all in on Jumeir Gibbs. Transfer from Georgia Tech, now playing at Alabama, different Alabama school. And, part of this is a projection because, based off his Georgia Tech, tape, maybe not the number 2 running back in this class. Maybe you want a Sean Tucker ahead of him. Maybe you'd want a Tank Bixby, Zach Evans ahead of him. But part of the knock against Gibbs at Georgia Tech was that was a bad team, and it felt like he knew it. And if this team was going to win games, he had to make it happen, and he had to be the offense. And it felt like there were times where, he could get 3, 4, 5 yards here. He could get 4 to 5 yards in that carry. And he'd ultimately have to pass it up, and he would be a little too overly patient and try to find something that wasn't there, and then ultimately lose yards, or the play goes nowhere and you don't get those 5 yards. At Alabama, you're not going to have to do that. Like, this dude's just, he's playing with, Bryce Young, top 2 quarterback if you saw my QB position rankings. And if you didn't, definitely go back and check that one out. He's playing with a completely different type of program now. So I can hear that conversation with Nick Saban now saying, hey, kid, I don't need you to break off 80 yards every time you get the football in your hand. Let's not be afraid of those 5-yard plays. And overall, I think his vision will get better. And then you'll see those 5 turn into 10, 10 turn to 15, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this guy's in for a huge season. Maybe not, as elite of a downfield, speed threat when it comes to running back, but damn, if he doesn't have just about everything else, every other tool in the toolbox now, I just think he needs to, kind of find an offense that allows him and forces him to be more patient maybe. He doesn't have to be, the superstar trying to make any and everything all happen at once. Be more patient. Trust the vision, play within the offense, and, I think the rest will follow suit for Jumeir Gibbs. And then Bijan Robinson. You've heard me say this about just about everyone else, but Bijan Robinson does it, a half step to a step better than everybody else. He's got speed. He's a dynamic runner of the football when it comes to his changing his direction. He's hard to bring down. A lot of these guys are really physical runners that are hard to bring down as the initial tackler. And Bijan Robinson, maybe more than anybody else in this draft class when it comes to running back group, great on third down, right? Like, this guy, he literally gets split out wide, and maybe that's just for screen game, but to be somebody you can flex out to potentially be, slot wide receiver on certain packages, or put him out as an X wide receiver, not truly being an X, but to play him out wide, that's just something that not a whole lot of running backs can necessarily do. It's an acquired skill. It's just like Deebo Samuel, just the other way around, where not every wide receiver knows how to take handoffs and, find the hole when running between the tackles. It's the same thing, just the other way around. Not every running back that may be able to catch a football doesn't mean you can line them all the way out wide and make something happen. Bijan Robinson has that skill set. As it stands right now, you're going to see a whole lot of Bijan Robinson as the number 1 running back in this draft class, and it's going to take a lot for him to fall down. Now, I'm a big fan of Jumeir Gibbs, and maybe puts up some gaudy numbers and changes people's ideas of who's number 1 in this draft class, but I think from start to finish, it's going to be hard to take down Bijan Robinson in that number 1 spot. So sorry, it's a chalky pick, but right now it's clear cut. He's the best guy in this class. Let's talk about some of these honorable mentions. Some interesting guys here. And Devin Achane, this is almost certainly the fastest running back in this draft class. Literally a member of the Texas A&M track and field program, and his PR in the 100-meter is at like a 10.12 time. That is absolutely ridiculous. Could you imagine running 10 meters per second essentially on a, it's just absurd. I can't even speak how insane that is. And you don't have to look long, right? Go find any sort of highlights from last year for Devin Achane, and you will see secondary players, safeties, corners, have almost an impossible time trying to get the angle on this guy because he's just that quick. And part of the reason he's not in my top 5, I've seen a lot of people projecting, kind of like what I did with Jumeir Gibbs, him as, a top 3 running back in this draft class. I'm a little hesitant on that. I think when playing next to and alongside Isaiah Spiller, who was a 4th-round pick by the Chargers this past year, I think that lightning thunder kind of component amplifies, how safeties, how the angles they take on Achane, because he looks so much faster than an Isaiah Spiller. What does it look like if he is the number 1 lead back? Does that change? Does it allow safeties to get a better feel for his speed and how to get to him and take better angles? Or does he have the body to be able to handle that type of a workload? We're going to find out this year. It's super fascinating. Him and Blake Corm will go ahead and jump to, despite him being on the middle of the screen here. These guys who were a part of a committee that had a, future NFL player. So for Corm, it's Hassan Haskins, who 4th-round pick. For Devin Achane, it was Isaiah Spiller. What are their roles do for their stock now that they're the lead guy, or we presume are going to be the lead guy? That's a huge question mark. That's part of why they're in the honorable mentions. I just have to see it before I can, speak to it. Obviously, that makes sense. So these are two guys who usually can move into the top 5 for completely different reasons. Achane's the pure speed guy. You can't coach that. What he can do, and honestly, sometimes you'll have concerns with guys who are fast, but then you throw on the pads and they kind of lose that step. Achane, that ain't a problem. Like, that dude moves like nobody else really in this class. And then for Blake Corm, different skill set completely. A little bit smaller. You're going to see a lot of MJD comparisons. He's about 5'8", 200 pounds. He kind of has that bowling ball feel. Definitely not the long speed that a guy like a Devin Achane has, but dude bounces off a tackle so hard to bring down. So again, those two guys on a full workload basis, if they're the number one guys leading a committee, even if it is leading a committee, the top of the food chain in that regards, what does that look like on a bigger sample size? Because it's one thing to be a nice compliment. It's another thing to be, a compelling lead if you want to go that way. And then, sticking with Blake Corm, I kind of want to transition to Chris Rodriguez. I'm bouncing all over the place here with my honorable mentions. But Corm and Rodriguez kind of remind me of one another. Similar-ish build. Rodriguez a little taller, but about the same weight. And both these guys, their chunk plays aren't like a Devin Achane where this guy could take it 80 yards at any given time. But for Corm and Rodriguez, it feels more like they're a little quicker than fast maybe, and their chunk plays are in that 15 to 20 yard window. But they're both so hard to break down and bounce off of would-be tacklers left and right. So because of that, it's really easy just when you put on any sort of tape that you can find. It's like, okay, yeah, this guy could totally last the NFL, and it almost. I'm not comparing either one of these guys to like a Ryan Matthews, but kind of that skill set that made Ryan Matthews interesting when he ended up with the Chargers was not a guy who's going to break it off for like 60 plus yards at any given time, but man, he can just take away a clean opportunity to tackle, and he can just adjust just enough, that slight change of direction to then bounce off a guy, land a stiff arm, something like that, and then turn 5 yards into 8 and stuff like that. Both these guys also run with a solid amount of power and can kind of follow through on a would-be tackler. So instead of it being a 4-yard game, maybe it's 6, and little things like that you kind of just notice. And when watching running backs, that kind of stands out because every yard's going to count. So guys that may not be the most elite athletes in that regard, but they do a lot of things right, and their power is felt, and they bounce off of a lot of would-be tacklers, which I've said a couple times. The last couple of names we'll talk about here. Deuce Vaughn, I mean, you're going to see, Darren Sproles comps left and right because he goes to Kansas State. He's 5'6", but Danny Woodhead almost feels like a more apt comparison. But also, even if you do want to compare him to Darren Sproles, if you dropped Darren Sproles into today's NFL, I feel like he'd be a lot more coveted than he was back when he was in the league originally, just because of the presence of pass-catching running backs is so large, and given how good Sproles was after the catch and even just as a pass catcher and a route runner, it feels like the NFL nowadays can better take advantage of that skill set. So advantage there for Deuce Vaughn. It will be interesting to see again, how that size holds up. Can he avoid injuries? I'm not saying that he's going to get hurt. Sometimes these smaller running backs, 5'6" is hard to find behind an offensive line, right? So part of that kind of adds to his shiftiness. But this dude, his ability to move left and right, it is human joystick type of stuff, like throwback video game. It's unbelievable to watch, and he's a lot of fun to watch because of that. So it's kind of hard to separate yourself from somebody you're enjoying to watch versus somebody you want to say, like, this guy can stick at the NFL level. But on top of his shifty ability as a runner, again, the pass-catching ability is there. Solid route runner, good hands, and we'll see what the K-State offense is. So it can be kind of tough to project these guys in offenses that don't really steal the show, so to speak. So time will tell, but definitely a guy who is in a lot of top 5 running backs and for a lot of people's eyes. For me, just on the outside of that, but I can see the interest that a lot of people have. And the last name I want to talk about, Zach Charbonnet. Again, there's plenty of names, like Dwayne McBride from UAB is one that immediately comes to mind. A couple of Georgia backs people like, but there's so many good running backs to talk about here. Zach Charbonnet is the last one I do want to speak on. 6'1", 220, solid speed with that size to go with it. He kind of has that Derrick Henry nature to him. Not calling him Derrick Henry, but this guy who, once he gets to his top speed, moves pretty well. It just may take him a while to get to that top speed, but once Derrick Henry's in the open, and that's why we've seen him break off 99-yard rushing touchdowns, right? Because once he gets to that top speed, that dude's moving. And Zach Charbonnet kind of has that similar ability. It may just take a little bit to hit that top speed, but with his ability to run, dude, I would hate to be anybody having to bring down Zach Charbonnet. One, because of his size, but then also the confidence to play with power. This dude embraces contact like no other, and because of that, that's kind of a scary proposition to go be the first one to hit him. But when I talk about eventually getting that long speed, that type of power, there's a lot that is intriguing about Zach Charbonnet. The only other reason I think there could be for concern, because of his height and his frame, does run a little tall with the ball. So that's tough. Low man wins is the cliche in football for a good reason, but also just that big, you're eventually going to get more hands on you and whatnot. And also running tall, fumble issues could kind of come to a rise after that too. So little nitpicks there, but again, this is a really good running back class. 1 through 5 is stacked. My honorable mentions are stacked, and there's plenty of talent I didn't even include. So tell me what you think about this draft class down below in the comment section. Who are some of those names I left off? How would you rank these 10 running backs I gave you? And what are some of your early ratings on this running back class? Love to have your thoughts, and I respond to just about every comment. So let's talk about this group down below in the comment section. Hopefully you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and help me out a ton. If you're new right here, want to see more football content in your life, just hit that big red subscribe button. That's going to do it for me. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, my name is Tej, and I'm signing off.